Hello, Rough and Tumblers. Father Mitch here. So, today I want to step into the bold and unusual faith of the great Erik Paulson. First off, who is Erik Paulson? Erik Paulson is a luminary in the world of martial arts. He's probably most well known for being a coach. He's coached martial arts greats like Sean Shirk, Ken Shamrock, Josh Barnett, Brock Lesnar, and Cub Swanson. He started judo at age 8, and he is trained in just about every martial art there is. He has been trained with some of the most incredible names you've ever heard. He trained with catch wrestling great Billy Robinson, Benny Urquidez, Dan Asano, Gene LaBelle, and the list goes on. And he's the first American ever to win the light heavyweight Shuto championship. He's a catch wrestler extraordinaire, and he has two primary programs. He has the combat submission wrestling program and the STX kickboxing program.
Training. Talking, watching DVDs, training. You're going to burn out. Moderation. 4 things. Number 1, where are you going to go when you die? That should be your first concern. Secondly, is your family. Can those two be brought together? Yeah, of course, because that keeps you stronger. Those who pray together stay together. Number 3 is your job. Number 4 is your passion. If number 4 is before number 1 and number 2, you're going to have a hard time.
Wow, that's refreshing. As a clergyman, it's great to hear someone put God at the top of your personal hierarchy. Way to go. Preach, Coach Paulson.
Because, I've trained with some people and I go, do you go to church? They go, no, the dojo's my church. I'm like, oh, okay, all right. So when you die, why don't you just stay in the dojo? Because that's what's going to happen. You don't believe in God, he doesn't believe in you.
Now, I gotta say, I've always been a fan of Erik Paulson. Always been a big fan of Shuto generally. But after finding out about his spirituality and how he incorporates it into martial arts, I'm a massive fan of Coach Paulson. Now, look, we're going to disagree on the particularities, but in the grander scheme of all the fundamentals, he and I agree 100%. But get a load of this. I also found out that he wrote a book on rough and tumble, which is my specialty, and I didn't know that. And it is really good. I just started looking at it. I just got it. I just bought it. And I've started looking at it. And it's an excellent book. This guy is great. I could so hang out with Coach Paulson.
How can martial artists out there, other schools, other instructors that be listening to this, how can they implement that side of the spiritual content that's been lost from traditions? Like I know you teach a meditation in yours. If other instructors are listening right now, what would be important for them to know to keep their school an ageless school, a system where actually students come not just to get in the ring, they come actually to personal development. They come in here to learn to be.
You have to start adding the discipline aspect, which is bowing in, bowing out.
Yeah.
Now, whether it's being on time, if you're late, you get push-ups, or you get 50 jump squats or 50 squats or 50 push-ups because you're late. You ask for permission to come onto the mat.
Okay, so now we get into it. What does discipline have to do with spirituality? This is so hard for people to understand, and I'm not going to take this off on a tangent, but I need to let people understand that discipline and ritual are spirituality. Now, we could go into a long discourse, but this is not airy-fairy nonsense. This is actual science. You need to read the world's foremost experts on the evolution of ritual and understand this better. I happen to be friends with the great Matt Rossano, Dr. Rossano wrote books like Supernatural Selection, How Religion Evolved, and Ritual in Human Evolution and Religion. Rituals actually create pro-social sentiments. They are psychotechnologies. And Dr. Rossano even goes so far as to say that if you take out ritual, we cease to be human. That's how important it is. Rituals generate and regulate those sentiments. So think about it. Cultures that sing together, march together, soldiers march together and chant together. Their rituals embedded in religion at every level, saying the Pledge of Allegiance. And I would say that the lack of ritual in culture is one of the things that's driving increased polarization, and that's been contributing so dramatically to the epidemic of isolation and loneliness. As the Surgeon General's report that came out a few months back, that 51% or something like that, 50% of Americans suffer from the negative health effects of isolation and loneliness. Well, they're not doing rituals together. And so what Paulson doesn't come out and say, because he probably doesn't know the science, and he probably doesn't know the connection himself. He's just instinctual for him because he's been teaching martial arts, I don't know, for 40 years. So anyway, and I'm not any smarter than anybody else is to some degree. When I started my martial arts club in 2009, one of the first things I threw out was all that stuff, because I was a modern person. I had no faith at that time. I hadn't read any of these good books. I haven't been through seminary, any of that. And I didn't realize the power of ritual. So I threw it out, and then I had to put it back in, because I came to some of the same realizations as Coach Paulson.
You start the class with a little talk, and then you warm up to get the energy flowing. Then you center and ground yourself. Grounding is extremely important. Mm-hmm. Maybe not before, but after. At the end of your training, you ground. You ground yourself. You sit on the earth, put your hands on the earth. You sink and you align yourself. Put yourself in divine alignment, attached to God, Creator, Source energy, and connect to Gaia, Mother Earth energy, where we are now, third dimension. And when you connect in your heart. So you pull the energy from above through your body as a line, and then you bring your Hara line, the energy from the earth, all the way back up to heaven. And then you center and you bring your consciousness into your heart, and you sink into your heart. And now you're present at this pure 100% in the now, in the moment. That's what's important.
So just what you just explained to me, how to connecting yourself to the light, to the earth, to be that vessel here, that spiritual vessel. I mean, how many other instructors do you meet that are actually keeping this kind of philosophy in their schools?
Well, a lot of people, again, what do you want to do?
Like a lot of people, a lot of folks in the industry. I mean, are they?
Yeah,
some people,
a lot of them not at all. I don't know. How many instructors, when they teach, watch their mouth, what they say, and hold people accountable for the things that come out of their mouth? It's not what goes in, it's what comes out. It's what comes out is what defiles you.
Matthew 15:11. Preach, brother.
So if you're a walking ball of F bombs, you're attracting that negative vibration, and the thing is you should be praising people. You should be learning, growing, helping each other. As a teacher, you're here to help others. We hold a high position as a teacher, as a coach. You hold a high position, and people look up to you. And if you're a vicious and vile, mean ass guy and all you want to do is hurt people and that's what you're teaching, guess what? You're going to get a room full of killers that's all they're going to want to do.
Exactly.
But how does that help humanity? How does that help? I mean, what are you trying to create? Because in the end, when you're done competing, what are you left with?
Now, I think it's great that Erik wants to talk about martial arts in its grander context and place it, as he did at the beginning, into a framework of life and put it in its proper place. I think that's fantastic. Now, would we disagree on some of the particularities? Yes. He has some unusual beliefs, and we would differ on matters of dogma. But if you think about it the way you would think of a food pyramid, for example. So you have, I mean, that's not a great example because the food pyramid has got a lot of problems with it, but think of it like a Venn diagram of overlapping circles. And so what would we agree upon? Well, we would agree upon the fundamentals. Now, as a martial artist, that's probably the best analogy of all. So what if you taught martial arts, but you took out all the fundamentals? You took out the basic fitness. You took out development of great wrestling basics. You took out the sit-outs, the bridges and rolls, and the shrimps, and all the basic training that you have to do day in and day out. And you took out all your bag work, all of your basic power development and heavy bag work. And you just focused on super technical details like how to pull off an omoplata or how to pull off a Peruvian necktie. And then in terms of your striking, all you worked on was really esoteric trapping techniques. What kind of martial artist would you be? Well, you'd be a pretty bad one because you wouldn't have any fundamentals. And so, although Erik and I would disagree on the particularities about, tying into Gaia, Earth energy and all that, what I would agree with him on is that it's about fundamentals. And this is going to trigger some people probably, but in life, it's not so much what you do, but how you do it. Think about that deeply. Really meditate on that for 2 or 3 years, and you'll understand what I'm talking about. So although I would differ with Erik on the particularities, I agree with him that it's about the fundamentals. It's about just sitting down together as a group and meditating together. Whether you're meditating about connecting to father energy and mother energy or whatever you're thinking about, just sitting together and deep breathing in silence for 3 minutes creates pro-social sentiments and begins the process of spiritual development. That's a fundamental.
So, sir, let me ask you another question.
You work around your
Let me ask you another question about this, Erik. So in a school, students they come to I look at it as a martial arts school should be a pristine place. It should be like a sanctuary. No matter how old it is, new it is, it's your sanctuary. It's a place where you walk in the doors and you leave the outside world behind. At least that's how I was taught, and I'm sure you were too. So when you have a school, what is your best advice for other teachers out there, how to keep the energy of their school clean? Because a lot of people come there and dump all their emotions there in that school. How do you tell people to keep a clean school energetically?
First thing we do is we clean our school. We clean the mats.
Okay.
We wipe down the bags. We wipe down the pull pads. We don't leave anything the way it is. Fighters, when they come in, you have to clean up after fighters because they pour their protein powder, they leave it on the floor, they kick it around, they think it blends into the ground and it's gone instead of clean it up. Yeah. They leave garbage, they leave tape, water bottles, sweat on things. So you have to clean your gym after every session. But you got, as far as cleaning, just make sure your gym smells good, everything's clean, everything's in order. And the other thing.
Now, if you're enjoying this video, please be sure to like, share, and subscribe. And then also, I'd like for you to check out our free programs at heritageartsinc.com.
Is you got to clean the energy. Right. So the energy is cleaned by playing peaceful music. When you're training, you can play heavy metal and whatever you want, rock and roll. Who cares? Whatever you want, whatever gets the energy, the vibrational energy up. But afterwards, at the end, play some nice music. When nobody's there, we sage the gym. We sage the gym. We have incense burning like Palo Santos. There's also a Moldavite incense. We burn frankincense and myrrh incense. Frankincense is a clearer and myrrh is a sealer. Palo Santos, if you sage, you use Palo Santos at the end. It seals the room. Don't use Palo Santos by itself. Use it at the end after a sage. And we walk around and hit every corner. And then what I do is I sit down in the room. I put my hands on the floor. Me personally, especially if I've been gone, and I bring the Holy Spirit into the gym. I do a meditative prayer and I ask for the Holy Spirit and the archangels to come in and clear the room, ceiling to floor, wall to wall, northeast, south, and west, top and bottom. And I'll ask that 3 times, and I'll play some music. I'll play the shofar sounds, and it calls in the heavenly archangels. The archangels will come in and clear your gym, ceiling to floor, wall to wall, northeast, south, and west, top and bottom. You can also open something called an Arcturian download, which is a beam of light from above, the Arcturian download, and then you bring in Yeshua, Mother Mary, Archmichael, Archraphael, 100,000 blue light warrior protection angels into your gym and ask them to clear the gym, ceiling to floor, wall to wall, northeast, south, and west.
Now, once again, I would probably disagree on quite a bit with Coach Paulson. I don't know what an Arcturian download is or any of that, but we would share, again, some of the fundamentals here. We actually have an oath, a student oath that we say at Heritage Self-Defense, which begins with to north, east, south, and west. To our higher powers and better selves, we ask and send our blessings. And so we have, again, something in common. And by the way, St. Barachiel Old Catholic Chapel is the name of the chapel that's associated with the charity. And St. Barachiel is the Prince of the Guardian Angels. He's an Orthodox archangel that's not usually discussed in Protestant or Catholic circles, but nonetheless, this is something that Coach Paulson and I share, which is an affinity for the archangels and their ability to help us. They say that cleanliness is next to godliness. And I think that, again, Coach Paulson is on to this. Keeping things clean on the outside is a metaphor for cleanliness on the inside. And so when he says we clean, again, people together doing things together. These are ritualized behaviors. Now there's really 3 different types of ritual. There are, and those ritual technologies have differences, but these are ritualized behaviors that build pro-social sentiments, that improve your mental health, the cohesion of the group, and so on. And these are all things that he's doing that don't seem spiritual on the surface, but are. You notice that this guy's asking about spiritual things, and Coach Paulson is responding with very prosaic, normal activities for the most part, like cleaning things. Well, that's not obvious, but it nonetheless is true. Those activities are indeed spiritual.
Some people think that's hocus pocus or whatever. But I'm going to tell you, the energy, it changes the energy in the room.
All right, so he's talked about changing energy. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to switch back to the rolled up episode that I started this video off with and let you hear a little bit more about what Erik has to say about clean living.
I've heard that you are selective about the people you roll with. Well, why?
I try to be. Okay, here's why. I used to roll with people all the time, and I'm very sensitive to energy. And a lot of times I would go home, I'd have nightmares, and just like bad nightmares, like monsters and stuff like that. Anyways, I found out later that I have a few people that I talked to. They did a scan on me through archangels, and they're like, your job is bringing energy home, negative energy home with you. He goes, what do you do?
Okay, so we used to have a guy at the club, and suffice to say that his living was not clean. And although he was a very likable guy and training sessions went really well and everyone benefited and there was joy and laughter and all of that, afterward I would have feelings of anxiety and I guess uneasiness is the best way to put it. And later on, he went to prison. So I don't want to get weird and superstitious, but this is real. This actually happens. And we should try to lift up our brothers. We should do the best possible job we can of working with guys who are not living clean and trying to lift them up if we can and get them to a better place. But we should also make sure that we cleanse ourselves and that we cleanse our rooms and our gyms, not just physically, but also spiritually, and do the best we can for ourselves and for our training partners to set a great example and to lift them up.
I teach martial art. He goes, you touch a lot of people, don't you? I go, yeah, every day. And so a lot of times when you roll with somebody, you'll pull the energy off them because you're dipping into their etheric layer, which is their protective layer. And some people are negative. Some people don't believe in God. They never pray. They party. They do a ton of stuff that's not right. You attract negative energy. It latches on you. It sticks to you. And a lot of times you're going to roll with guys and you're going to pull stuff off them. I pray. I meditate every day. I try to stay balanced and focused on what's right.
So I'm going to go ahead and let you finish watching the rest of this bit of the interview that relates to Erik's faith. But although we disagree on some of the particularities, Coach Paulson and I agree 100% on the fundamentals. Take care. God bless. And when you get done with the video, put down the phone and go train.
And what happened is a lot of times when I'd roll with people that were negative, I'd end up pulling their negative energy off them, and then I would go home and unless you sage it off, obviously you're going to shower, but that doesn't always get it off you. Salt bath. I'll take like an Epsom salt bath, Epsom salt and oatmeal bath, sage or holy water. But even then, sometimes it's hard to get off. So you have to have it massaged off or have somebody clear it off. And I didn't know about clearing my space, like clearing my house, my room. So obviously prayer works great, but negative energy can still stay in clutter or could stay in your house. So I use sage. I sage my house probably every 3 days. I hit all the corners. I walk throughout my house. I play nice music. I open my windows. And I say prayers as I sage my room, around my bed, my other room, my living room. I'll sage my dog. They try to grab light wherever they can. And that's why I'm selective. Before, I used to roll with everybody and anybody. Plus, the older you get, I think you have to be a little more selective with some of the people that you want to roll with.
Mm-hmm. Do you feel that you can see the energy or the auras of people?
I feel it.
You feel it. You don't see it, you feel it.
Well, I also look at people's eyes. I can read a lot by someone's eyes. Intention. You know, I mean, athletes are athletes, but some people, as you know, that still do martial arts or play or whatever, into martial arts to compete, they go out, they go to nightclubs, they party, whatever, strip clubs, and you're attracting a negative energy, or you're surrounded by a negative energy, and it latches onto you. Mm-hmm. And so, like, you know, I got guys, he brags about going to the strip clubs all the time. I'm like, great, I don't want to roll with you. Mm-hmm. And he's like, if I do, I want to beat you up. And it's not because he goes to strip club, it's because there's something about this, I mean, he thinks it's funny, but something about this energy. He's not adhering to what's the Bushido code, the way of the warrior, training, staying clean, clean mind, clean body, clean heart. That's what I believe in.
Are martial arts a form of spiritual training for you, or is it completely separate?
It is, because how do you feel when you don't roll for a week?
I feel like I need it.
Yes. So it's part of your life. I mean, a lot of people that train and stop training, their lives change and their attitudes change, and you know, this keeps you balanced. It's mind, body, spirit. Martial arts keeps you balanced. I mean, for you to come in and just roll and train and you leave, your endorphins are up, you feel 100% better about yourself. Some days you have good days, some days you have bad days due to your biorhythms. And it doesn't matter. The biggest thing more than anything is consistency. The best students in the world are regular night students because they're here all the time. You know, they don't get ready for a competition and train really hard and then just disappear for a month because they don't have another competition coming up. They train consistently and they're learning all the time.
How do you guide or teach your students to become good students?
First key is listening. Second key is showing up on time. Discipline is showing up to the gym on time, showing up regularly, listening, taking notes, being interested. Mm-hmm. You can tell who's interested and who's not, because some guys are yawning, some guys are looking off. That's called ADD, ADHD, whatever, hyperactivity. Understandable. But what about the guys when you're teaching a technique in the middle and they're sitting way over there? They're looking like this. Mm-hmm. They're disinterested. They're like, oh, don't we get to roll? Like, actually, that is not. That's actually a gift that you get to roll. It's not a right. And the thing is like a lot of guys come in and they go, I just want to roll today. It's like, well, this is class. Technique, drilling, calisthenics, and rolling. You have to do it all every day. Mm-hmm. And you got to drill. Even the best in the world drill. Top elite gymnasts do basics twice a week. You have to do basics. Mm-hmm. You have to drill. I don't care how fancy your moves are and your game is. What you're going to win with is bread and butter. Mm-hmm.